That was Roy.
Of that.
Oh, and I forgot national. Today is National Dog Day.
I still cannot get my hand.
You gotta love your dog. We need to get a studio dog.
In this thing.
We can name him
Buster. You're going to bitch about that one. No, I did that one.
I'm going to bitch about that one too.
Yes. See if I can grab one of these out of the... I'll try that one.
Ooh, this is the one you got me for my birthday.
Oh.
It's Vibrant Raspberry. My Neutrogena.
That was a random selection. It was in the pink one, so I didn't know. But how was my random screw-up of a selection?
I mean, since we're on camera, I'm going to say it was great. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better color. When we're off camera, I'm going to give you my real answer. No, that's a good one. I like it. I wear it all the time.
So I actually did pick a winner?
Yeah.
But it's beginner's luck.
We're going to go with that. You know what? Speaking of beginner's luck, we should have poker night.
Okay.
I'm just saying I want to have poker night.
We can do that.
That would be fun. I'm trying to pull up my national days really quick.
We got to do something because we're all going crazy.
We are. So it's National Dog Day. Make sure you love your dogs if you have one. Tomorrow is National Just Because Day.
Sounds good to me.
Because of what, though?
Just because.
And then Friday, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 National Days. So pick a number 1 through 7.
3.
National Power Rangers Day.
Yes. See?
And National Red Wine Day. I can't leave out the red wine.
Now we can't do them on Friday.
Why? I'm going to remind everyone, because what if they didn't miss it? What if they missed it?
You'll have to do, because Friday you got to do, now you can do, but you can do Saturday and Sunday.
And I'll do the day
You've already spilled the beans on Friday. Crank up a Facebook Live and get us out of this before we bury ourselves any further. Comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Facebook and YouTube on IE Newswire on both platforms. And again, you've got to watch y'all are missing the greatest segments we do. The first ones on that on YouTube where we come on before we hook up. Jesse, our esteemed engineer, hooks us up on Facebook on that. And I still say they're the best segments we do on that.
They are. I agree.
Jam-packed day today, Republican convention. The ex-wife of Hair Gel and his ex-wife of the convention. And man, the reaction of Hair Gel's comments of his ex-wife Kelly on that in the news conference were absolutely stunning.
What did
today.
his ex-wife do?
We'll get into that in a little bit of that.
I want the details. Spill the tea.
Well, you'll get them of that. The big shootings in Wisconsin, and I've said it. You keep provoking this stuff, and stuff's going to start happening. And this is what goes on that. We're going to get into that a little bit later on. Susan Shelley will be on a little bit later on to review everything and talk about her columns in the major newspapers all across Southern California. But the big news is, well, it kind of broke over the weekend, at the first of the week on that. But man, it's really taken some it's taken some good twists now. Jerry Falwell Jr., head of Liberty University, which was started by his dad, Jerry Falwell Sr. Jerry Falwell Sr. was a big televangelist preacher of that, and I guess starting in the late 70s and into the 80s and 90s was a real heyday. Because if you were a Republican and running, and you did not get the endorsement of Jerry Falwell and Pat Robertson, which was another one that was big on the deal, you pretty much were not going to get into office. They packed a lot of punch with the Christian right deal, and if they endorsed you, you had like 20-25% of the vote, let's say for president. you had like 20. I mean, you had the Deep South, the Christian evangelicals. You had like 20 to 25% of the vote locked in. So one of the reasons Reagan won in '80, and that's kind of where they showed their power at. That, but anyway, Jerry Falwell Sr. passed away not too long ago. Jerry Falwell Jr. inherited that, or was running the ministry in Liberty University back in Virginia, right around the D.C. area, which is a big university, educates a lot of kids, yada, yada, yada. But it broke today. And I mean, you always hear the story about, the Mrs. Having an affair with the pool boy and stuff. And, you always think of that, well, is that, really going on? And this actually happened.
What does the pool boy look like?
We'll get to that. But Becky Falwell, I think Jerry Jr. is about 58. Becky's like 53. And it came out that she was having an affair with the pool boy, Giancarlo something or other, yada, 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 for he claims allegedly for 7 years, starting from, I think, 2012 to 2019. On top of that, we're coming up with that, and we look at the deal on that. Let's see if we got the picture of if he's on here on that. Oh, there we go on that. Dang it! Here's the there's the one of Falwell, but this is in the New York Post. So we come up with, on that, Jerry Falwell Jr. arrived in a Speedo to watch why pool boy have sex, accuser claims. Jerry Falwell Jr.'s wife seduced her pool boy lover the first day they met, and her holy roller hubby arrived in a Speedo to watch them romp, the other man claimed Tuesday. During the work shift at the Fontainebleau Hotel in March 2011, I was chatting with some girls my age, Giancarlo Granada, then 20, told Politico. He said Falwell's wife, Becky, 53, walked over him at one point in Miami hotel and said flirtingly, "Those girls don't know what they're doing. You need someone with more experience." Granada said the mom of three was soon suggesting the pair go to the hotel room. And then she goes, "But one thing." And I'm like, "Okay," Granada said. And she's like, "My husband likes to watch." Then he comes out and he's wearing a Speedo. Granada claimed that he and Becky had sex for the next 7 years, either in Miami, where he lived at the couple's farm in Virginia, and that Jerry, the then president of conservative Liberty University and son, made a modern religious right to a co-founder Jerry Falwell like the whole sword affair. He enjoyed watching us in person and remotely through the video cameras, Granada told Politico of Jerry Falwell. He also listened to our phone calls. Reaction.
Okay. I have a few.
Let her rip.
I want to know what the pool boy looks like before I can make a thorough judgment. But I think, okay, so what was his job title again?
He was
technically.
He was
not the pool guy, the husband.
Oh, the husband. He was the head of Liberty University. He was Jerry Falwell, obviously Jerry Falwell Jr. He inherited or was running it. He was the president, ran the ministry. That university is it.
A ministry though, like church, religion.
Yeah,
kind of thing?
that has been kind of like downplayed. Their big thing is that. But he walked in and resigned today, and had a $10.5 million settlement to resign and walked away from Liberty University.
So he got $10.5 million for walking away?
Correct.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, $10.5 million for walking away? How?
Well, that's probably why he didn't resign
off
the get-go.
I think, and this is my thought, I don't know if it's correct or just my opinion, but he has a job. I'm sure he did his job excellent, or he wouldn't have been president. I think a lot of people probably had respect for him in his job. I think that if you're going to have a lifestyle like that, I think you're allowed to have your privacy. And if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. I personally would never be into anything like that. I think it's weird, but I think you should have been allowed to. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. If the wife's okay with it, the husband's okay with it, and the pool boy's okay with it.
Here's what the deal is.
It is what it is.
Okay, well,
I'm not going to judge him on that.
No. Well, here's the rest of the
I
story.
totally am.
Is
I'm lying.
Jerry Falwell Jr. saying he didn't know anything about it. He didn't participate. Yada yada yada.
And
He's saying that's all false of that. And his wife so far has not thrown him under the bus or said anything. Just said Jerry's a very forgiving person. Yada yada.
So the
yada.
husband's now saying he wasn't aware any of that was happening?
No, he's denying he showed up in the Speedo watch, listened to their phone conversations, or was part of any of this, or had any knowledge. Giancarlo and Becky were doing the nasty for 7 years, allegedly.
And he's the victim.
And Becky's saying it was a short-term affair. She's denying that it happened over a 7-year period.
So there's like
yes.
3 different stories. Well,
Yes.
4, because there's his story, her story, and the truth.
But in the New York, where it was originally the one Giancarlo did, he supposedly has tapes that's been released to some of the outlets, yada, yada, yada.
What was released?
Well,
Like basically
or shown
porno?
to them, not released publicly, but shown to other news
Oh, well,
outlets.
wait until.
But this was what just broke just before the show.
Dun, dun, dun.
And thedailymail.com. I hope he tells the truth. The other Miami pool boy, who had a personal relationship with Becky Falwell and sued the family over their stake in the gay-friendly hostel, urges Giancarlo Granda to keep sharing details of the affair. Another Miami man claims he had a personal relationship with Becky Falwell and sued the family last year over their stake in the LGBTQ-friendly hostel that has urged the pool boy now speaking out against the family to tell the truth. Gordon Bello sued Jerry Falwell in 2019 over a stake in the hostel that Falwell family invested in which Giancarlo Granda runs. I guess he went from pool boy to running this place that they own. This is even getting better. Since Monday, Granda and the Falwells have been trading insults and conflicting statements on that. Granda said Jerry, who stepped down as president of Liberty University on Tuesday as a result of the scandal, watched him and Becky having sex. Jerry and Becky denied that and say that while she had an affair with him, it was a mistake and Jerry was not involved. On Wednesday, Bella told the DailyMail.com that he felt Granda had more to share. Giancarlo is not telling the full truth of what happened. I hope he finds the courage to do so. He said he did not go into any more detail.
What is a hostel? I saw a movie one time
I
and it
asked
was
that same
really...
question. Okay, this is what it's a hotel with one S in it, and I guess they're real popular in Europe.
Right.
But it's kind of like a...
But don't they end up killing the people?
No. It's kind of like a college dormitory. You have your own room, but then there's like a common kitchen in it. They're popular in Europe because they're more of like for a low-cost hotel. So if you're traveling and you don't want to go out to eat and afford the restaurants and you want to cook your own meal in there, there's like a kitchen on every floor of it. So it's kind of a economy hotel. But there's 2 things, because one thing, Liberty University, Hollywood Christian Coalition, always accused of being against gays or that. Here's Falwell, a major investor in an LGBTQ-friendly hostel down in that. On top of that, there's one. I guess pull up the photo. The one on the left is Gordon Bellio.
Pool boy.
Pool boy number 2. Pool boy 1 is, I guess, in the deal on that of having it for number 2 on that.
So
Or
wait, go
number
back up. Pool boy's number 2.
Yes.
Is that the husband next to him?
No, I think I think that's his dad that he's standing with
okay.
next to on that.
And then who's number 1?
Number 1 is the one with the double picture. Number 2, pool boy that just came out, is the one to the left
Oh.
in the suit.
Well, now I'm confused. But, I mean, if they're all getting down and they're cool with it, I mean, and their marriage is open, then good for them. I mean...
So there's more of them.
I can't share,
circle,
so I don't
That's
know.
Giancarlo and Jerry Falwell at some other place. Da, 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 da.
So that's husband and pool boy.
Yes, pool boy 1.
Pool boy 1. The 7-year dude.
Yeah, so allegedly.
Right. Well, I mean... Go back up. Who's the chick circled? Is that the wife?
That's the wife. That's Becky.
Dang, get it, girl.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
No, you weren't.
I know.
So you think...
but if the husband is fine with it, I think he's lying up his,
And you don't make up... That's a hell of a thing to make up. it just strikes
Do you think
me.
that he didn't know? You think he's a victim?
I wouldn't think that. The pool boy one that says the first time and Falwell Jr. shows up in a Speedo, you just don't make something like that up.
Right.
That
little
you
detail.
could, I guess, but overwhelmingly, I think the pool boy number 2 is probably right. If I was laying bets on it, I think pool boy number 2 is right. There's more to come out of this deal. But this is why, Falwell, when this first broke, I think on Monday or Tuesday, I'm not resigning from Liberty University, yada, 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 da, 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 da. So today he comes in and it announces that he settles for $10.5 million with the university to step down from the university.
Why do you need that much money?
Well, because
I wonder how much he was getting paid.
That's what I was saying is he was using this, I think, as a negotiating tactic. And I think that's why the missus is going along with this, because they were going in saying, okay, we know we're in trouble. It was probably back and forth. I'm not saying this is my speculation. It was probably back and forth between the lawyers at Liberty University and the Falwells of, how much is it going to take to get you guys out of here? Becky, you keep your mouth shut. You take the bullet on this deal. Say it was only you. Jerry didn't know nothing about it. Yada, yada, yada. That's kind of the way I see it.
I mean, I don't know. One hand, his reputation's ruined. I think a lot of people are going to dislike him and not trust him. But at the second hand, I think people should have their own private life. It's unfortunate it came out, but if they're okay with that, then let it be that.
Let's back up. You get Jerry Falwell and Liberty Universities, like the Christian Coalition. Marriage is sacred. That's what they teach at their school. Monogamous relationships, yada, yada.
Then he should have left. If he doesn't believe that faith, he should have left. I personally would never judge or dislike anyone.
And why I want to get into the other part of it, because here's one of them. The most popular the one was back in, if you remember back in the day, probably 30 years ago, Jim Bakker and Jessica Hahn. Here's the real TV story of that on YouTube. Here we go.
It's one of the most indelible images of the last decade as Real TV looks back at Jim Bakker, a preacher once worth millions. The most successful televangelist of his day, carried off to prison without a prayer.
The dark clouds will fade.
With wife Tammy Faye at his side, his PTL network, or Praise the Lord, reached a nationwide audience.
When in doubt, build something more.
But Jim Bakker is even more famous for reaching into the pockets of his viewers and for grabbing this church secretary from Long Island and paying her a fortune to keep it quiet.
I never asked for a scandal, and I'm never going to shut my mouth about this.
In the end, it was Jim Bakker who would pay the most of anyone.
What Jim Bakker represented was not...
So there was another one back in the day of going on of that. That was the Jim Bakker, and him was his wife Tammy Faye, which that woman creeped me out. I mean, she just.
But that seems different, though.
But then, he had his, the secretary. I guess allegedly or whatever. I don't know. I think it was proved, but maybe not of that.
Did
but
she
he was
keep
doing
the money, though?
Secretary on that, and that was the big. If I remember this was the. This was the allegation that came out, and I think this is what Jessica said about Tammy Faye. Jim would tell her, Tammy is too large. She doesn't satisfy me. If you know what I. That's what was going on back in the 80s when this one.
Like calling her fat?
No.
Wait, what? The hole? I gotta stop talking. Who are we talking about?
Yes, I think he
was that right?
I think he was referring to her hoo-hoo.
I don't think so.
Yes,
I don't know. Anyways,
that's what was the whole thing. No,
that seems much different, though.
And then you had the one of
because he's not preaching church. He's not. I mean,
oh no, they would go. That was the same thing, but this was a moral equivalent of this. They were preaching the same thing as monogamous relationship. You shouldn't do this, yada, yada, yada.
Pool dude was too? Not the pool dude, but the husband?
No. And Jerry Falwell, we're all part of this religious deal
well,
that was telling you
different.
Not to do this stuff.
While they're doing
While
it.
they were back in the scenes. Then we
Isn't
had
that how it normally goes,
Then we
though?
have Jimmy Swaggart, he was the Assemblies of God guy. This was his famous I have sinned speech after he...
Myself, as best as I know how, to those that I have wronged, that I have sinned against. First of all, my wife, Frances. God never gave a man a better helpmate and companion. And as far as this gospel has been taken through the ether waves to the great cities of the world.
So this is why I have a big mistrust of anyone. Because you never know what people are doing. And especially though, and I'm really skeptical of those who are telling you to allow you live your life.
Right.
Because time and time again, whether it becomes out publicly like this, or you hear or see the stuff of what happens in your town, or hear this, that, and the other, it's usually the ones that are telling you not to do something are the ones that are out there doing it themselves. And it's more that, do as I say, not as I do. And
right.
That's what, politicians do it all the time, religious leaders like this, da-da-da-da-da. And I think that's one reason why we have a big mistrust on everyone.
No, I agree. But if you're preaching in a church and telling people not to do that, that's wrong. But I feel like if, going back to what we were talking about earlier, I think if their relationship, they're okay with that. I don't think people should judge that. But if you're preaching, do not go and do that, but then you're going and doing it, then shame on you, because that's like,
if
don't take my cookies, but then you're
eating
them.
They're saying, okay, we're out here just having a grand old time, doing X, Y, and Z. No big deal. If you want to give, but to run the deal of, we are Liberty University and you shouldn't do that and build your whole empire, build a major empire around this. And then, like Swaggart did, Jim Baker, and many others before, and it's went across all the other spectrums. I mean, I'm just pointing this out because this is the same thing. Politician, how many times have we been disappointed by business leaders, politicians, whatever, that have done these same things, told us not to do stuff while they are either grabbing money or doing the same thing, or, doing the interns under the desk and the whole enchilada. And this is where it gets to, because I want to switch gears on this in the few minutes we have left. Because Kimberly Guilfoyle, who was married to Gavin Newsom, and this is kind of along the same thing. Gavin Newsom was running, I think, for mayor or supervisor in San Francisco before he did that. His he had a campaign manager who was his best friend. So Kimberly Guilfoyle and Gavin Newsom were married, and his campaign manager, who was his best friend, was also married. So Gavin Newsom decides he's going to do his best friend's wife, who's his campaign manager. So that's why Kimberly Guilfoyle, who's now Donald Trump Jr.'s girlfriend, divorced Gavin Newsom back in the day, and she was at the Republican convention the other day.
So Gavin Newsom cheated, or?
Yes, he was
not
married? Cheating. Yes, he was married to Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Okay.
He was running for office.
Okay.
His best friend was his campaign manager. So Gavin Newsom and his best friend's wife are having an affair.
Ah, gotcha.
While they're doing the campaign.
What campaign? Not this one. Not to be
this
governor.
one, when he ran for that. That's why they got a divorce, and he has a new wife now, yada, yada, yada. I think. I read this. This is and then Kimberly went on to do Fox News. She went on to become a reporter, da-da-da-da-da. This is her at the Republican convention, I think, Monday night on that. And it's giving, and this is what's really ironic about this, because this is her, she's talking about the hellhole California has become from the once great state it was to where it is now. So here we go.
It's wealth.
Awkward.
Immeasurable innovation, an immaculate environment. And the Democrats turned it into a land of discarded heroin needles in parks, riots in streets, and blackouts in homes. In President Trump's America, we light things up. We don't dim them down. We build things up. We don't burn them down.
So there, she's criticizing her ex-husband, who was at a major part in turning California into the hellhole. So this is what happens, and this is great. I mean, I case on some of the dominant media news reporters, but I can't remember his name, but he's on Fox 11. So Gavin Newsom today has a press conference. He didn't have one yesterday, but he's been doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So this reporter, I think it's on here, steps up to the plate and asks this question of Gavin Newsom today.
Hi, Governor. Since nobody has asked this yet, I will jump on the grenade on behalf of everybody.
You don't have to. You don't have
to. I'm curious if you are watching the RNC and if you had a response to your ex-wife who said in prime time the other night that California is a land of discarded heroin needles in parks, riots in streets, and blackouts in homes.
This may leave you wanting, but let me first acknowledge that I appreciate you landing yourself on the grenade. And let me just extend appreciation for your effort to get my response, and I respectfully defer to the next question.
Now, if there is ever a reason to recall that SOB, it's right there.
Thanks, Governor.
Duck the freaking question of that.
That's personal.
The legislature
No, it
is
isn't.
That's
She
personal.
commented on the hellhole, like I said.
But
I
still,
told
he's
California-
trying. No.
Bull, BS. I said, you want to turn California into the hellhole sewer that San Francisco is? Elect Gavin Newsom. That's exactly what Kimberly said. And he's been a major part of turning it into what we're living today. And he will not stand up and own it. He will not stand
He
up and
shouldn't have to.
He is.
No, that's stupid.
What?
He's doing a press conference. He's a freaking governor. He should not be
Yes.
talking about his ex-wife.
No, his ex-wife in the political realm. She
That's
did not attack
dumb.
him personally.
That's dumb. No, but the way he brought up your ex. He should have addressed it by her name. The person asking the question should have addressed it more professionally if you want an answer from him. That's just rude. Now he's just trying to start crap.
Well, it is.
Y'all
and
are
it
trying to
should have.
nitpick and break
You're
him
gonna let
down.
You're going to put his picture back up there.
No.
Put his picture back up there. You're going to let that piece of crap get away with this and ruin this once great state.
You're talking
on
about
that?
how is talking about his ex-wife going to ruin anything?
He asked him about the question of what his ex-wife said at the
Calm
Republican
down, you're gonna
National
hurt yourself.
Convention at and what California has become, and he ducked it.
He should have. It should have been asked correctly. He went after him to raise. See, look how mad you're getting. He went after him. No, he went after him to do that.
Gavin Newsom, would you please answer the question about how you've turned California into a hellhole? You think he's going to answer it any different?
Yeah.
No, he isn't, because he never has. He will not accept responsibility of it. So you've got to get tough with these SOBs, or you're going to continue. Or you continue to get bent over the workbench. You want no schools. You want no jobs. You want no opportunity in California. Keep endorsing that BS. Don't let him off the hook.
No, I'm not saying he needs to be let off the hook, but that was not appropriate. I wouldn't like if anyone called in and asked about my personal life.
It's not
and
about
I'm
his
not
personal
the governor.
life.
Yeah, it is. The way he addressed it was.
Because it's his ex-wife.
He shouldn't have worded it like that. He should have had more respect for our governor. Whether you like him or not, you still need to have respect.
What is wrong with saying your ex-wife at the Republican National Convention said California is full of needles and is in disrepair and that?
Carla writes in, but he's cute. I love you, Carla. I'm going to move because he's going to start swinging. Carla writes in, I love it. Gavin is a
ask him the question.
hole.
This is your assignment. Ask Gavin Newsom the question nicely and see how he answers it.
I need names, though. Because what's her name? Crazy Kimberly is what Carla writes in, so I'm guessing her name is Kimberly something.
Kimberly Guilfoyle.
Okay.
No, ask Gavin Newsom the same question. Just leave out
I think it should have been Mr. Governor, who's like hot as hell. No, I'm just kidding. Are you going to address what Kimberly, whatever, was saying about California? Because I am offended that she would talk about our state that way. I bet you anything he would answer. $20.
What do you mean offended? You're not asking a question. You're putting a commentary in it, which you shouldn't be doing at a press conference if we're going by your rule.
Why? Who says that?
Because you're putting
Who
a
says that?
commentary about that. You did. You said about...
No, but who says you can't say that? Why can't you say
well,
that?
then why can't he say ex-wife?
Why shouldn't you put a commentary into a thing? Into a question?
Because you were supposed to, the role of the reporter is to ask the question as the reporter did. Your ex-wife at the Republican National Convention said X, Y, and Z.
No, you
What's
need
your
to say
response?
Kimberly blah, blah, blah. Said whatever. What's your response on what Kimberly said about the state of California? We can leave it at that. We can leave it at that.
And he does.
He didn't ask that. He said, what do you have to say about your ex-wife bashing you to California? Saying you're doing a crappy-ass job.
Bashing you about the needles and the disrepair and the condition of California.
But I didn't hear her say any of that, though.
Let's
Did
go
she say?
let's
I don't
rerun
want to
it.
because I got to leave.
Let's rerun the question.
No, I said I didn't hear her say that when she was up there.
Yes, she did. You want to rerun Kimberly? Let's see.
Did she say it?
Yes.
Mm.
Here you go.
If you want to see the socialist Biden-Harris future for our country, just take a look at California. It is a place of immense wealth, immeasurable innovation, and immaculate environment. And the Democrats turned it into a land of discarded heroin needles in parks, riots in streets, and blackouts in homes. In President Trump's America,
So, she mentioned it as a political deal. The reporter asked it as a political question.
Right. He should have asked with more respect, though. He was being rude.
Gavin Newsom does not deserve any respect.
Yes, he does. He's still your governor.
Hey, guys.
Hey, John.
How's it going? 1 minute, 1 minute.
And is it a fact? Was that his ex-wife?
What do you know?
Was it?
Just them.
Was that his ex-wife? There was,
believe so.
there was nothing factual that the reporter did not address.
I'm just saying, as a reporter, he should have asked it a little bit better. He was trying to get under his skin and get a reaction. Which a good reporter, but he didn't get it.
Because
I think if he
Gavin
wanted
Newsom,
it answered, he would have.
Your little hottie
No.
is a big chicken.
He is, and I agree with that. But if he wanted an answer,
Yes.
he went about it the wrong way, and he knew he wasn't going to get an answer by asking it like that. He knew. That's all I'm saying.
30 seconds, guys. 30 seconds.
See, isn't this fun?
It's great. I got to go.
We're gonna have we're gonna be back on. We're gonna be coming on the Mighty Met 1490 here on the deal of that.
He's yelling at me.
He's throwing you out on that.
Okay, here we go. 10
Hurry
seconds.
that. We got 10 seconds to go
.com
to
and
get this
download
one
your
out.
free phone app today. IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There we go. There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Met KMAT, on broadcasting all over the airwaves of the Inland Empire on the signal and the AM signal on that. And yes, I made Stephanie mad enough that she left. No, not really. She had another appointment to go to on that. So in case you're wondering why she's not here on that, but. Probably won't prevent the social media network from going crazy on all this stuff and making up the speculation. But shift gears a little bit on that. But what we do have is we promised you when we did the first part of the show live at 5 when we start on Facebook and YouTube. The aforementioned guest that we usually have on during the middle of the week sometime is coming up. She's a editorial writer, columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Facts, No, Inland Daily Bulletin. See, I blew it this time. I've been doing pretty good on that. Redlands Daily Facts and 152 gazillion newspapers all across Southern California. But more important to me, or in my book, is Vice President of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome back to iNewsWire Daily with Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Great to be here. How are you today?
Absolutely fantastic. Want to get a little bit of reaction. We talked about it, and when Stephanie was in earlier today, we had a little bit of reaction of it. But Gavin Newsom's ex-wife, Kimberly Guilfoyle, was at the Republican National Convention, had a little shot on there at California saying about the heroin, how Democrats basically turned this place into a hellhole, which Gavin Newsom has probably been one-A between his stint in San Francisco and now governor of accomplishing this. And Gavin Newsom was asked, and it was a Fox 11 reporter got a question in his press conference day on that. What is your reaction to your ex-wife's statement about California on that? And he refused to answer the question and ducked it. 100% wouldn't address it. That and moved on and took the next question. Your reaction, Susan Shelley?
Well, I don't even know what to make of that. That's just soap opera material, isn't it? I mean, she left him, and now she's with Donald Trump's son, and of course, she's right in everything she said about California, and he is ducking the question, and he would duck the question no matter how it was phrased, because he doesn't want to talk about the heroin needles and the destruction of California and the electricity blackouts and all the rest of it, which is all policy-driven, and it's all, at this point, it's his fault. I mean, some of it was here before he became governor, but still, what he's doing is making it worse, and it has to end. So I really think that more reporters in California should ask those questions at those press conferences instead of just being stenographers for whatever press release the governor wants to put out every day, which is how much of the news, sadly, is reading. It's just as if everything is fine, and the only problem is that Republicans still exist somewhere in the world. That seems to be the attitude of a lot of news reporters, which makes me sad because I'm in that field, and I think that we need to look at all sides of these issues and treat people with respect and listen to their views and their concerns and figure it out rather than just slamming each other, which is what's happening. I couldn't believe some of the coverage of the Republican convention. They practically start every sentence with the Republicans said without evidence that things are all right. It's starting to bug me. You know, the CBS LA put a tweet out that said the president's party was trying to push the storyline that America is a land of opportunity, and they put land of opportunity in quotes, in sneer quotes, like everyone knows it isn't, so we'll just put this in quotes. What's wrong with them? To say that America is not a land of opportunity is just false. It's false, and I'm getting pretty tired of all the wokeness tearing down this country every day.
I couldn't agree with you more on that part, Susan Shelley, and it is, and I want to get, this is my take on the whole, the riot situation. It seems to be, and this is, I said this at the beginning when they didn't stop this, and I think I'm pretty sure you did too, but it refreshed my memory on it. They should have put the kibosh on this as soon as it started. Now with the Wisconsin thing breaking out, and now we have shootings going on. Somebody defending a car dealer shoots somebody in the head. This is going viral all over that. But what I'm saying and what I said is, you don't stop this stuff in its tracks when it starts, you're not going to like what happens, and it's going to perpetuate. And if they keep if pockets of this, if they keep letting this go. In Portland, in Seattle, in San Francisco, in New York, in Florida, in Wisconsin right now, or anywhere where it breaks out, if they keep letting this stuff go, it's going to keep growing. And if it keeps growing, we're going to be in a world of hurt.
Well, this is just insane. This is self-destruction. And I'm not sure why these politicians aren't doing it. My guess would be that Democratic politicians in Democratic cities, like Los Angeles, like Portland, they are afraid of being primaried. They're not afraid of someone from another party defeating them, but they're afraid that someone from the left in their own party will do what AOC did and what others have done, which is to knock out a long-standing incumbent from the left. And so when something like this starts, they're afraid to make a distinction between protesting and rioting. They're afraid to make a distinction between a legitimate grievance and a wild-eyed Marxist agenda. You know, the idea that the police should not enforce the law in a racially disparate manner is perfectly fine, and everyone agrees on that, and there's no argument anywhere there should not be racial disparities in law enforcement. We all agree. But we don't all agree that there should be Medicare for all, and that there should be an end to private property, and that there should be densification that ends single-family neighborhoods. And the rest of this agenda that's being called social justice and called racial equality, and it's quite the stretch. We have some outrageous things going on college campuses and outrageous things going on in city governments. And, you know, the public really won't stand for it. It's going to have a tremendous backlash. And that's probably not the best way to resolve situations like this, but that's what's going to happen. There will be, most likely, a backlash at the ballot box. And a lot of these people who think they're invincible are going to go down in these elections and be replaced by people who are far more conservative. And hopefully that will be a tipping point in California where things can be sensible in our government, and where the government officials work for the public and not against the public. This is a crazy situation, and it can't continue.
But what struck me, and it kind of dovetailed the Democratic convention of that. The Democratic convention was Orange Man bad. If you elect him, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. You elect Democrats and us, we're going to fix it. In the liberal socialist agenda, we're going to fix everything. Well, again, I peel back to that question of, or the Kimberly Guilfoyle statement, and then Gavin Newsom's non-answer. The reason he does not want to answer that, or the reason Joe Biden or Kamala Harris or any of them up there on the Democrats didn't say anything, because they have no argument against that. The only thing they have is Orange Man bad, racist, homophobe, going to destroy the only thing they got. Because if you put them on the facts, like I've said, if you want to, like I said before the election in 2018, I said, if you want to really destroy California, elect San Francisco Gavin Newsom as governor. And I said, you know what? You'll be begging for Jerry Brown back, because as bad as Jerry Brown was, he ain't as dingy as that. Not only that, I don't know, I'm sure you probably heard of it today, but not only today, Gavin Newsom endorsed George Gascon for city attorney in L.A.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that. And there's this report from Channel 11 that two of his policy committee members, whatever that is exactly, he has a policy committee, and two of the members of the policy committee put material on Twitter essentially calling the police stormtroopers or some such thing, and saying that people should burn everything down, and there shouldn't be police and there shouldn't be prisons. And he was asked for a comment on that, and he wouldn't comment. So that's not good. That's not a good situation. You really don't want your law enforcement community being opposed to law enforcement. That's not the job to be in if you're opposed to law enforcement. You shouldn't be district attorney if you think there shouldn't be any prisons. And just as Gavin Newsom, the first thing he did when he got into that job is he said, I refuse to enforce the death penalty. I don't care what the juries say. I don't care what the people of the state say. I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. And so he didn't. But that's not the job. You take an oath to uphold the law, to execute the laws, no pun intended, and you don't really have the option to just say, I don't care. I mean, he has the power to pardon people, but he doesn't really have the power to just refuse to enforce the law. And this is a disturbing thing with George Gascon. I'm not really certain what to make of this. We'll see how this resolves, but you cannot have a district attorney whose policy it is that there should be no prisons and the police are always wrong.
Yeah, it's absolutely. I mean, it's mind-boggling summing of the deal. But on to more of a local topic in your title of your column this week: the blithering idiocy of California's energy policy. Tell us what it is, Susan Shelley.
Well, the blackouts are a complete man-made disaster. We ran out of electricity in the state of California. Why did we run out of electricity? Well, we had a triple-digit heat wave. Is there anything unusual about that in August? Not really. Not really. We do get summer weather in the summer. That happens, and people use air conditioning. That happens, and that's normal. And in all the history of California, we've been able to provide electricity as needed. We have people who do this. This is a normal part of American life, except in California. Because in California, our politicians decided that they wanted to close down the coal-fired electricity generating plants. And those are not in California. They're in other states like Utah. I think there was one in Arizona. We had contracts with them, and we canceled all those contracts. No more coal. So then they decided no more natural gas. We're going to phase out our coastal generating plants that run on natural gas. And we're not going to have nuclear either. We don't want nuclear, and we don't like large hydropower like dams, like Hoover Dam. We don't want that because that's bad for the fish or something. I'm not even sure. But you know what? If you take away all of these continuous sources of electricity and you rely solely on wind and solar, which are non-continuous, you're going to run out of electricity on a hot summer day, and that's exactly what happened. And this is a man-made idiocy. One of the problems with the climate law is that it has this long-term squeeze where it's trying to get the utility companies to do a larger and larger percentage of the electricity they sell from renewable sources. They define renewable as solar and wind, even though nuclear is renewable and hydropower is renewable, and neither one of those generates any greenhouse gases, but those don't count. Why don't those count? Because the government chooses to favor the solar and wind industry. Why? Well, you'd have to look at campaign contributions to figure that out. So here we are with this reliance on solar and wind energy, and since we've been doing this, since about 2013, California has led all other states in the import of electricity from other states. We are the leading importer. So here we are saying, oh, we're saving the climate because we only use renewable energy, and then we're bringing in energy from places where they're not so precious about it, and they'll generate it with whatever they need to do with natural gas or nuclear or coal. You know, Pennsylvania, which is a coal-producing state, is the leading exporter of electricity in the United States. But we're just too special for that. So we pretend we're saving the climate with our solar and wind nonsense, and then we import electricity from places like that. And we didn't have enough imported electricity when we started these blackouts, and that was the problem. If you don't allow this electricity to be sold in California because it doesn't meet the climate standard, the renewable portfolio, then the plants themselves don't pencil out. So no one can build them, no one can operate them if they're not allowed to sell electricity because it's nuclear generated or it's natural gas generated, and it doesn't meet the renewable portfolio, so the utilities are not allowed to buy it. That's what's happening in California. Man-made, blithering idiocy.
And this is the reason why Gavin Newsom did not want to answer. Channel 11 out here in Fox must be on it, because it was a reporter that asked that question of Gavin Newsom from his ex-wife, saying California is a hellhole and basically you're responsible for it. of this whole thing. And Gavin Newsom comes up there and touts about the AB 32 and green energy and all this stuff. And we went from when basically up into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we basically generated a lot of our power from hydro and nuclear, and we had the cheapest electricity in the 50 states. Now we are at the highest and going higher. And as America is a net exporter of energy, as you pointed out, we are now importing 25% plus of our electricity of that coming in. I mean, how stupid could we be?
Well, apparently no one figured out when they were deciding to do this that the sun goes down. This was a revelation to the government of California. I'm not sure if they just start drinking really early and they're already blacked out. But they did not know that the sun goes down, and they decided that they would just make the whole state reliant on this intermittent source of energy. So now, rather than admit they were wrong, here's what they want to do. They want a mandate for utilities to buy battery storage. Well, the amount of battery storage that it takes to run the state of California it's not a practical solution. It's incredibly expensive. It's not good for the environment. Batteries are not a harm-free technology when it comes to environmental concerns. So it's not perfect, but that's what they want, because they will not admit that they were idiots to do this in the first place. And really, we could turn this state around so quickly if we got rid of these laws that prohibit home construction, because we're worried that people will drive too far to work, and prohibit nuclear and gas-fired electricity, because we're terrified that in 100 years it might be 2 degrees warmer, which is nonsense anyway. But even if it was true, we shouldn't be killing ourselves for it. We should let people 100 years from now worry about the technology that's going to fix the problem, if there's a problem. This is just reckless and crazy. Reckless and crazy, and very expensive. As you said, we have the highest electricity rates in the country, and we have the highest poverty rate in the country when the cost of living is taken into account. 1 in 5 Californians live in poverty. That is disgraceful. And the high cost of energy is one of the reasons. And the high cost of housing, which is also, as I said, affected by these climate policies that prohibit home construction in outlying areas out of fear that people will drive too far. So we don't build the communities, we don't build the houses, so we don't have enough houses. So then they want to densify the cities, and they want every existing single-family lot to be subdivided into 2 lots. There's a bill on the floor in the Assembly today that would do that. SB 1120 would mandate by right that every single-family homeowner could subdivide the lot into 2. It would be by right. The cities could do nothing to stop it. No parking restrictions, there could be nothing that stops the subdivision of a single-family lot anywhere in California into duplexes. Now that's just crazy. That's just taking everyone's quality of life and taking it away, really. What you bought when you bought a house, when you worked your whole life and used up your savings and went into debt and bought a house in a neighborhood with a particular kind of spaciousness, and you wanted that, and you paid for that, and now you're working to keep it, Sacramento wants to take it away. And so your neighbors on both sides and across the street could tear down their houses and put up duplexes, and you'd have twice the density, half the parking, twice the noise. It's so concerning. It's so concerning what they're doing. These are all man-made problems. These can all be fixed. If we got rid of the cap-and-trade program, as Ontario, Canada did, we would have effectively a tax cut for the whole state of California, because the cap-and-trade program is a hidden tax. This is something that the California government decided they're going to charge people for emitting greenhouse gases. So utilities, refineries, manufacturers, basically everything that's made or moved in California has this hidden tax in the price. And there's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. It doesn't accomplish anything. And if we got rid of it, as Ontario did, we would have lower prices. And nothing would happen to the climate, because all of California, the whole state, is only 1% of global greenhouse gases. So these little micro reductions that we do with these policies have no effect at all. Why are we doing it? Why are we impoverishing ourselves for this?
It's crazy. 30 seconds. Tell them why they should join HJTA. I'll get it out.
Join the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association because it is the one organization in California that is fighting for taxpayers, fighting for you, to make sure that your money is well spent after they take it from you and that they don't take more of it. And if you go to hjta.org, you can find all kinds of great information about Prop 13, about property taxes, about what your protections are under current law, about all the legislation that's being considered. You can get the report card for your representatives and see how they voted on taxpayer issues. hjta.org. Sign up for our emails. Stay informed. This is a really important election coming up, and we need all hands on deck to protect California.
Thank you, Susan Shelley. We'll do it again next week.
Thank you, Roy. Take care.
And I want to get into this. Nicholas Sandmann, he was the guy that was at the Washington Monument, and the Hebrew Israelites and the Indians confronted him because he was wearing a MAGA hat, calling him racist and all this other stuff. Wound up, I think, filing a lawsuit, if I believe, against CNN, and I don't know if he won it or was settled or anything like that. He spoke at the Republican convention. But what I want to point out on this thing is because it was the Hebrew Israelites Brotherhood, which is a black organization, and that's the one I specifically asked Amber Rochelle was a racist organization, and she had a big frown on her face and shaking her head no on that. Well, he was speaking at the Republican convention on last night, if I can find it here, and here's what was said at the RNC with Nicholas Sandmann.
Very different.
Crackers with Make America Great hat on. You little dirty crackers, your day coming. Young Klansmen. Look at that Make America Great Again hat.
Social media, the news, and even celebrities launched a campaign of persecution that was completely false against a boy in a Make America Great Again hat.
The MAGA hat carries a certain connotation that provokes a conditioned reaction.
I blame that kid. What a little crap.
Everyone that sees that smug look wants to punch that kid.
Nicholas Sandmann received death threats, and his school was forced to close. Tonight, Nicholas tells his story.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Sandmann, and I'm the teenager who was defamed by the media after an encounter with a group of protesters on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial last year. Before I begin, I'd like to thank President Trump for the opportunity to share some of my story and why it matters so much to this November's election.
And we don't have enough time to run to it, but that's why I did that, because here's the Hebrew Israelites Brotherhood or whatever they are calling this kid, young man, a cracker and all that. And you have forces out there that say this is not racist, and his only crime was visiting the Washington Memorial in Washington, D.C., and wearing a MAGA hat in their eyes and in the media's eyes. Look at the reports of that and that was going on. Don Lemon, Bill Maher, blaming him all across the board of that. He did nothing wrong. He did not do that. He stood there proudly while they berated him, and they tried to make him into someone who was a racist, doing all this other stuff and yada, 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 where there was nothing from the truth. Do you hear apologies from any of them? No. They sit there and double down on this stuff. They've spread their hate even more to where you see what's going on now. If we don't stop this and stop it now, we're all going to be in a big world of hurt. There could be nothing a clearer choice when we got in November. Not only putting a recall on Gavin Newsom soon, putting Trump back in, stopping this madness that has been burying us. We'll be back tomorrow on a Thankful Thursday. Again, till then, see ya.